Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, and welcome to WOR Tier 1 action today for the third social race before the pre-season of season number 13. As you can tell, we have a different voice in the commentary box today. My name is XSmithyX and I'm joined as usual by Steve F1. You may have noticed us from a few other tiers in WOR. We are filling in tonight, but hopefully we can still have the same great action you usually see in tier number 1. But hello to Steve. And
hello.
Yeah. Let's get underway with qualifying, as you can see here, for the Bahrain International Circuit. A very tricky circuit, and one, as you all now know, is on the calendar for season number 13. And hopefully the drivers can get some good practice in today before the season kicks off in a few weeks' time. And yeah, very excited to be here, Steve. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Of course, these are probably some of the best drivers on Xbox right now. So yeah, very excited to commentate over them, and hopefully we get some decent racing.
Yes, indeed. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we do have the chat up, so if you do have any questions, you want to share anything like that, do make sure you drop them in the chat, and we will have some interaction with you guys as the evening goes on. But Hoopalicious is coming around the final corner here at Bahrain, and he will be the first person to set a lap in this evening's social race. So Steve, why don't you take us through a lap of the Bahrain International Circuit?
Okay, so going down into turn 1, it's a really long straight. You brake just after the curb starts, getting the car turned in nicely. All a bit of a snap of oversteer on the exit of turn 1 there. Turn 2 and turn 3, not really noticeable, but you have to be very cautious on the power. So down into turn 4, off camber, very easy to spin. It gets it very nicely done through there. So coming out of the first sector is 28.5. That's a very decent first sector for the drivers. They should be aiming for something around there today. Now through the head for turn 7, very nicely done through there. No, that's turn 8, sorry. As 9 and 10, this is a lock-up central corner. Don't want to mess up going into here, or that can ruin your whole lap. Now down the back straight, not as long as the start-finish straight, but still a very long straight, and into a hard braking zone of turn 11. So now we're going to hit the death curb corner. Turn 12, don't want to touch this inside curb. If you touch this inside curb, you will spin round. And now we're into 13. Very nicely done through there. Keeping it in 5th gear, which is a bit peculiar. Some drivers tend to go for 4th gear for that rotation through the corner. As now into the final braking zone after the 100-metre board. Very nicely done through there. 15, not really a corner. And now open up the DRS and across the line. What will this be? It's a 28.1.
Yep, very decent, excuse me, very decent little lap there. SAV Legend is just behind, but has decided to back out of that lap. So let's see who we have. I think it's WOR Matthew is next across the line. Goes fastest with a 27.8. One of the Alpines is about to set a lap as well. Crosses the line, must have invalidated. Who do we have next? It's WOR Venom in the McLaren. He goes into P3 with a 28.3. Has a lot of drivers on track at the moment setting laps. As we see PSR Connor just pipping Venom and goes into P3 himself. So a very busy early couple of minutes here. We see quite a lot of people out on track. One person to keep an eye on is M Racer, who has set a 131.5, so I imagine that is just a banker lap. He did, of course, win a couple of weeks ago the first social race of the season around Australia, so a name to keep an eye on, both for tonight and this season. Unfortunately, we do not have Mr. FRA Elite, sorry, completely forgot his name there. He is not available tonight, obviously won last time out in Miami, and if any of you have been looking at the time trial leaderboards, he is an incredibly quick driver. But one person we do have is Mr. TRL Martin.
Indeed. Yeah, Elite, it's a sort of big shame, isn't it, that he's not here. He sets the time trials alive. Probably is the quickest on Xbox at the moment. But we still have Martin. We also have Matthew, who has also been up the top of the time sheets and time trial. Also a very good racer. So I hope to see a lot from these drivers today, and hopefully the battles will be extremely close, and we can, with these new car regulations, we surely could see this.
Yes, indeed. Like we've mentioned, and as previous commentators will have said over the last couple of weeks, the drivers still getting to grips with these new for 2022 cars, much heavier, much more cumbersome through these low-speed corners, and traction proving to be a very, very big challenge for everyone on the Formula 1 game, not just these guys. A quick note to mention, if you would like to get involved in WOR this season, and you think you can take the fight to these or maybe some other drivers in some lower tiers, sign-ups are now open if you head over to the WOR Twitter account. I believe it's WOR League. Over on Twitter, all the information you need to sign up for Season 13 is there. Sign-ups are open until, I believe, the 18th of July you have to submit your interest, and then the 25th of July to complete all of your sign-up process. And then placements shall begin for the league to begin in October. So hopefully we'll see some of you guys involved in that. We are currently on board with TRL Martin, though. He's going around the final corner. What can he do? Obviously a legend in the scene, way back in the day, racing in AOR, now back in WOR after a brief break on last game. Coming across the line, what will it be? It'll be fastest, showing that class is permanent and form is temporary. TRL Martin back to the top of the timing boards, and I'm sure he will be very happy with that lap, Steve.
Yeah, of course. It's nice to see Martin back after the break. He was hugely missed in the community for quite a while, and he just shows how good he really is. Even with that break, he can come back and be straight to the top of the timing sheets. I don't think we have anyone else in the lap at the minute.
Choco has just started a lap.
Oh, as I say that, Choco, of course. But yeah, so Martin coming straight back in league racing, straight to the top. So we expect to see him up the top, especially in the top tiers of WR.
Indeed, currently on board, like I mentioned, with Choco, 28.3 through the first sector. Very decent little lap there as comes into what is a very tricky and deceivingly difficult braking zone into that hairpin. Now up towards turn 9 and 10. As you will all know, very easy to lock up. It's a little bit easier this game, I tend to find, under braking, although Choco has gone a little bit wide there as he tries to get the traction down now with 10 minutes to go in this qualifying session. The Ferrari driver setting his first timed lap into turn number 11, braking using all of the track, as we have seen over the last couple of games, drivers favouring putting the car over that curve. He comes through the fast sweeping curves at the end of sector 2. What will his sector time be? So 106.3, purple through the middle sector apparently, but obviously the game is quite liberal in its handing out of purple sectors. Coming down the second to last straight now, just one corner to go. As we mentioned, braking about 75 metres hard on the brakes. He uses third gear, uses a lot of curb on the inside there, not really ideal as he comes around the final corner. What can it be for Choco as he comes up to the line? The Ferrari man goes into P11 with a 1:28.207. 4 tenths off pole, but down in P11, showing just how close the racing has proven to be so far on F1 22, Steve.
Yeah, it's extremely close. The times come ever closer. You can improve by a tenth and gain about 5 positions in this now. And also, Matthew, even though he's a recent convert to no-line racing after having line, he's up there. He's very quick. Probably, yeah, one of the quickest on Xbox with FRA Elite and Martin and all that. But he only recently changed to no line, no assist. So it's nice to see someone up there that's quite new to this stuff.
Indeed. Very, very good indeed. And that Matthew, as you can see, on a lap at the minute. Currently P2, only 0.02 of a second behind TRL Martin. Looking for an improvement here with just 9 minutes to go in qualifying. Qualifying, of course, all the more important this season with the new rules for F1 22, where everyone has a free choice of tyres. So no longer are the days of the P11 Altstrat qualifying targets. Vupalicious actually goes fastest, but Matthew is a couple of tenths up on his lap if he can maintain it through this final corner. as he comes up to the line. What is it going to be for the Ferrari man? Very good lap so far, and it is fastest with a 27.6. He will be very happy with that one indeed.
It will be extremely pleased with that. An absolutely rapid lap time there from the Ferrari. Who else is on a lap? Can anyone challenge that? We have Placky on a lap. He's up by about half a tenth. We can find more time, maybe going through the middle sector here. How much is he up by? He's only up by about a tenth of a second. This could put him, though, up into the top 3. So going down the straight into the final corner. We can see if he can gain any time here. Does he hit the inside curb? No, gets that apex nicely with Bobbitt's going up into P3 now ahead of Martin. So, but here comes Placky up to the line. It's P2 and just behind Matthew.
Yeah, very good final sector there. Found an awful lot of time and put himself, as you mentioned, up into P2. One of the Aston Martins is about to come around the final corner. That is Shazoo Piccolo. Hasn't set a lap time so far, so what will it be for the Aston Martin? Only P19 at the moment, and he will definitely want to improve on that one. We have a couple of cars coming across the line. I believe that is one of the Mercedes about to start a lap. And Hoopalicious will probably be pulling into the pits. Yes, he is. So next up then will be one of the McLarens. That'll be HSR Amin coming round the second to last corner. Currently P15, about half a second, 7/10 of a second I should say, off pole position. He will be looking to improve. A very quick driver, as we saw last season, Steve. And hopefully for him, this lap will be an improvement. What will it be as he comes up to the line? It's a 28.1, only P13 at the moment, and he will hopefully, for him, be improving on that. I think we have had a spinner at the final corner. Got to go fast. Has had a little bit of an error, and he becomes the first person to fall a cropper of that very tricky exit curb. I think M Racer's about to cross the line. What has he done? He's put himself P6 for 27.9. Still about 3/10 off that lap from WOR Matthew. I think Venom has just crossed the line. He's gone P6, just missed that one. Apologies for that. Have we got anyone else about to finish a lap? Finn has also spun. He's lost his front wing, so unfortunate for Finn. Not what he would have wanted. Is Scyther about to cross the line? No, he's coming around the second to last corner though, Steve. If you want to take us through the end of Scyther's lap.
Alright, so let's see how he goes. Does the final corner, sorry. Very nice apex. Maybe a bit slow with the momentum, but still good throughout the corner. So across the line, it's a 27.9. It's P8, but look how close it is. 3/10, covering near enough the top 11 here.
Yeah, that is a very, very good lap. Of course, we commentated on him in Tier 2 last season. I believe he became runner-up to PSR Boots last season. So he will hope to prove himself this year against some of the better drivers, as my controller has just died, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Currently on board with PSR Fern. What can he do through the first set? So it's 28.1. That is apparently purple, and he's already a 10th.5 up. So this could be a very decent little lap here for the Mercedes driver as he comes through this middle sector, Steve.
Yes, this could be extremely quick, maybe beating Matthew, which is a very hard task with, of course, how close these drivers are skill-wise. So down the long straight with the DRS open, the back straight, of course, probably more notable for the Marshall running across the track in front of Lando Norris in 2020, but now we're going through turn 12. He had to shift down a bit there, maybe to get the rotation and down by a second, so that's the end of his lap.
I think he has backed off. Martin is into the pits as well. Is there anyone else currently out on circuit on a lap? Scyther is down by a couple of tenths. Obviously Fern, we know, is not, and Connor has just spun. Just caught the end of that one, so that's unfortunate. We do have a question in chat. Is Lobby 2 being streamed? I don't think it is tonight, unfortunately. Me and Steve, of course, usually commentate on Lobby 2, but due to unavailability from your top tier, we have finally been given the chance to commentate over tier number 1. And yeah, hopefully we can have a good little race. We've got Choco in the pits. One of the past drivers just starting a lap. That is Hoopalicious. Currently in P3. A very good show from him so far. And he will be looking to try and displace Placky and Matthew ahead in the battle for pole. Just 4 minutes to go now, so we're going to see a lot of drivers as Hoopalicious has gone straight off the circuit there. And somehow not invalidated. So, nice game, Codemasters.
We had this around Miami, didn't we? On Sunday, should I say. The track limits are very inconsistent. Hoopalicious is also going to have very early compared to everyone else. So drivers only starting their outlaps now. But I think he's maybe thinking about if he does get that validation, he can just go for a second run and, yeah, make sure he is all safe with his timings.
Indeed, it could be a case like we saw last game. We saw quite a lot of people doing 2 runs at the end of qualifying to get the maximum heat out of the tyres. Maybe just experimenting a little bit as he cuts across the circuit once again there. Excuse my terrible English. Or he may be trying to get back to the pits in order to get another run in. It's going to be very tight if that is what he is attempting to do. I think the first driver who is going to cross the line to start a lap may well be Placky. He's already started it, in fact. So let's find him. Where is he so far? He's coming through the first sector split, and he is currently pretty much bang on with what he's done so far, Steve.
Yeah, it's very close lap time. These laps up at the top end here are near enough perfect. It's going to be very hard to find any time in these laps. But knowing some of these drivers, they'll find an absolute chunk of time somehow. And they will end up improving by a lot. So down the back straight. We like going down this back straight on board with drivers now. And it's a very nice turn 11 there. Taking a good amount of speed through there. So turn 12, not having to shift down like Fern did. And he's up on his lap. And this would just about put him on provisional pole. He has his teammate ahead, which could give him a little bit of a slipstream. But Lurch nearly gets in his way. That was nearly a big collision. So through the final corner, that was very nicely done. But he pulls into the pit lane, so obviously lost a bit of time.
Unfortunate for Placky there. Must have been put off a little bit by his teammate, so I'm sure he's going to have some stern words with Lurch. Matthew is currently also out on the circuit, but he is not on a particularly good lap at the moment. I think he is on a outlap. We do have Crispy in the chat saying double laps are nearly impossible as you don't recharge any ERS. If you don't use ERS on your first lap, Crispy, you'll still have 100%.
You're not wrong.
Exactly. Got to go fast. He's currently up into P3, so a very good lap from him there. Didn't see that one. He has bamboozled quite a lot of us by going all the way up to there. We've got WOR Venom coming through the first sector. He, once again, is pretty much bang on, but let's see if we've got anyone coming around the final corner. I believe that will be someone on an outlap. Let's find someone on an actual flying lap for you, ladies and gentlemen. I think it might be Venom, the first one to cross the line, so we'll go on board with him. As he comes through turn 10, nicely done there, nice traction on the exit. As he comes once again, as we mentioned, down this back straight. Can't see him because the timing ladder is blocking him out, so let's go on board with the McLaren man. Hits the brakes about 50 metres, very late on the brakes there, carried pretty decent minimum speed. As he comes through the fast sweeping curves at the end of sector 2. A little bit of a lift it sounded like there, so maybe not quite happy with the balance, and he's ever so slightly down by about half a tenth now. He's a lot of curb on the inside, using 5th, as Steve mentioned earlier, through that corner. Is Connor about to cross the line? No, that's Fern starting his lap. We'll stay on board with Venom then as he brakes for the final corner, turns it in. Once again, using quite a bit of curb there on the entry and exit as well. What can he do as he comes up to the line? Nothing. He's coming into the pits. Obviously not happy with that lap.
A lot of drivers seeming not to be able to find the time in the final sector. They're just losing it all through that final corner, as Matthew is actually up on his lap by 200ths and Choco goes P3.
A great lap from Choco there. Half a second improvement. It's a very good lap. As a flag has now flown. So these are the final laps for everyone. I think TRL Martin is coming through the middle sector split. He's ever so slightly up, but look at how close it is. This could bump him up easily 2 or 3 positions with just half a tenth improvement. So what can he do as he comes into the final corner? Can he spot his braking point? Yes, he can. Turns the car in. Doesn't use the curb like we see a lot of the drivers doing. Gets a nice bit of traction off the exit. Is this going to be enough to improve for the Williams driver as he comes up to the line? Yes, it is. He pips Choco, puts himself into P3. So a great little lap there. WOR Matthew, though, is who we're going to keep an eye on. Currently on pole position, coming into the final corner. Scyther goes fastest. Oh, my word.
It's the exact same lap time.
Well, you can't get closer than that, ladies and gentlemen. Can Matthew do anything as he comes up to the line? What will it be for the Ferrari man? He doesn't improve. It's going to be P2 for Matthew. He is going to be absolutely gutted with that. Set the exact same lap time. And unfortunately for him, he's going to start in P2. Hoopalicious has just invalidated. So he is not going to get another lap in. SAV Legend is coming around the final corner. Quarter of a second up. What can he do for Haas? Crosses the line, puts himself up into P8. I think Piccolo is next across the line. Yes, it is. Doesn't improve. Stays in P20, so he's going to be disappointed with that one. I think Lurch is going to be the only person then who could set a lap, but I think he's coming into the pit. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is qualifying over. And Scyther, what a shock that lap is. Like we mentioned, finished P2 in the Tier 2 Championship last season and has put himself on pole position for tonight's race.
That is a massive shock. He just didn't seem to be like anywhere near that lap time at the start of the session. Just absolutely brings out that brilliant lap. But if I was Matthew, I'd feel a bit robbed because you set the exact same lap, and usually it's whoever sets it first sometimes.
Indeed.
So unless the game has other ideas.
Yeah, unless the game has more accurate timings than we are privy to. But yeah, there you have it. Scyther was around the P8, P9 mark for most of qualifying, but right at the end pulls out a fantastic lap and puts himself on pole position with the exact same lap time as WOR Matthew. So could not split them in qualifying. The race will be a different matter. We have FRA Placky a quarter of a tenth further behind with WOR Axe, TRL Martin, Fern and Choco all within a tenth of a second covering your top 7. Absolutely incredible scenes there. SAV Legend is in P8 with Got To Go Fast and PSR Connor rounding out your top 10. Hoopalicious in P11 with Bobberts, Venom, M-Racer, Bourbon, Nico, Finn, Lurch, Amin and Piccolo rounding out your grid. But first to 19th, Steve, covered by half a second.
That just shows the caliber of these drivers. Like, how is that possible to get 19 cars in the space of 4 tenths?
Absolutely incredible scenes. Let us know in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, your predictions for the race. Steve, I'll ask you first. Who have you got your money on?
Oh, this is hard. I'm going to go for a Matthew win. Followed by Martin. And then I don't know if I should go bold or I should just play it safe. You know what? It's a social race. I'm going to go bold, and I'm going to say M-Race for P3.
That is very bold considering M-Racer starting down in P14. As you can see, we have the tyres up for you in the race director right now. Everyone is currently selecting the mediums, apart from PSR Fern. Although, of course, people may just be having a little bit of a mess around, trying to fake people out. So we'll keep an eye on this, see if anyone does decide to change tyres. Ethan asking, is Lobby 2 being streamed? Unfortunately, I don't think it is today. So hopefully we should be back for the next social race in a few days' time. I imagine myself and Steve will be commentating on that one, and your regular commentators will be back here for tier number 1. Yeah, a very, very exciting qualifying session. And I'm sure a very exciting race to go. I am going to go bold. I'm going to say Placky's going to win this race. It's my bold prediction for today. As always, in the chat, do let us know who have you guys got your money on for this evening's Grand Prix. But while we wait, we will let you know some news to do with the Formula 1 game. There is a new patch currently live on PlayStation and PC, coming to Xbox in the next couple of days, with a few little changes and fixes to the game. So we'll just very quickly run through the patch notes and let you guys know what to expect. We have a ICE wear rate reduced to be less punishing when aggressively downshifting or over-revving. It's been especially prevalent in career modes, so that is a fix for you guys. There is a resolved incorrect collision at Jeddah Turn 1. Not entirely sure what that means. The virtual rearview mirror, for those of you that use that, should now correctly apply. Characters on the podium, because we've seen a glitch where some of the drivers do not have a skin. They should now appear correctly. HUD elements will now appear correctly in split-screen races. Addressed an issue where the team badge could appear corrupted after a race weekend in My Team career mode. We have an issue, especially for PC, where Fanatec load cell pedals would result in reduced frame rate. That has apparently been fixed now, which I'm sure will be music to you guys' ears. Engine supply durability in My Team has been tweaked, so I'm pretty sure that Ferrari will be getting a little bit of a nerf in that one. Updated fuel amount for Bahrain F1 sprint events. Rain no longer appears within the car in supercar replays. Addressed an issue where the race engineer would note a component issue and then immediately state it was resolved. We should have adaptive triggers having correct resistance on PC. AI drivers on flying laps in qualifying will no longer decide to just brake and be stalkers for you, so hopefully that should be fixed. Addressed an issue when retiring from qualifying 1 or 2 despite having a time to move on to the next session. Would result in a transition to the race. Resolve the crash that could occur when joining an in-progress social play lobby. Sponsors on My Team car should now be fixed, and a few general stability and various minor bug fixes. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye out for that. Make sure you install it, and hopefully that should fix a couple of the issues I know have been prevalent with the Formula 1 game. But as you can see, we are currently ready and on the formation lap for the Bahrain Grand Prix, Steve.
Yes, we are. As it seems that only Bourbon boy has gone for the softs, which is not really the greatest, as the softs aren't really the greatest race tyre on this game. They only last about 5 laps, so it's a bit of a bold strategy call here from Bourbon, but we'll see what happens. There's always a chance for a safety car or something like that, and you never know what could happen.
Indeed, we did see, for those of you who did tune into the PSGL round 1 the other day, quite a few people did elect to start on soft tyres there, so maybe he's taken a leaf out of the books of some of the F1 professionals, and hoping to do something of a little bit of an alternate strategy. We are expecting the strategy around most tracks, and especially around this one, to just be a one-stop this evening, as you can see on the screen. The game is suggesting a 2-stop for Bourbon, but I think he probably will aim to take the mediums to the end of the race. Everyone else, other than Fern and Amin, have elected to start on the mediums, so they will be going deep into the race. It's very interesting to see that Fern and Amin have gone for the hards, because they tend to be not the greatest on this game.
No, you mainly just want the mediums to win a race. It's just a simple thing. But I mean, if you could just get them out the way, and then you'll be on the quicker time here, and at the end you can just absolutely storm up the grids in the final few laps. But I think Fern actually just spun there the formation lap, so that's not going to start him off well. And of course we have manual lining up on the grid, so I expect to see some drivers get some disqualifications.
Indeed, let's hope. As Crispy's saying, formation lap will be bugged because people left. Hopefully that won't be the case, and we can get underway and see what is sure to be a fantastic race this evening. Like we mentioned, qualifying incredibly close to top 7, covered by less than a tenth of a second, and hopefully we can have that kind of close racing in this Grand Prix. Let's see, is everyone lining up? Yes, they are. So here we go then, Steve. For the first time in Bahrain, it's 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go, and it looks like a very decent little start there from Sider. Matthew gets a little bit of a slow one there, and Placky putting him under pressure already. We've got cars already about 5 wide in the background, so let's keep an eye in the background, see if there's any contact, but Sider has a great start. He's in the lead through turn 1. That is absolutely fantastic. We've got Matthew and Placky going side by side through turn 2. A little bit of contact there as Axe goes into the back of Placky. Hopefully no damage for him. We've got Martin and Choco going side by side into turn number 4. Let's see what they can do. The Ferrari trying to hang it up the inside. And he does look like he's maybe going to get that done. Martin trying to hang it out on the exit. Gets on the exit curb, but does have that move done. We've got a few movers and shakers in the background. Bourbon up into P11. No, he's not. Bourbon has spun. Oh, there's a huge crash in the background. M Racer unfortunately out. Venom, I think, has damage. And we do have what appears to be a VSC. So, yeah, very, very chaotic start in the background. Yes, full core safety car.
Wow. That was a massive crash. There was like a good 5 cars involved there. I didn't actually see what caused that. I was looking down the grid and I think someone might have spun. As of course Darkula in the chat saying no. Why M Racer? He wanted M Racer to win. Disgusting. Yeah, I sort of wanted M Racer to do well here because I did have my predictions, but you can't have everything in life. So, that's put Bourbon all the way down to last. So those softs, not really working there.
Yeah, I jinxed him a little bit. As soon as I said he had a great start, he was involved in that massive accident. We've got Bourbon out of position. He's now at the back of the grid. Doesn't appear to have any visual damage. But of course, I imagine he's probably going to want to pit anyway and try and get to the end of the race. Venom has dropped 5 positions in this one. We've got Finn coming into the pits. He's missing a front wing, and we have one of the Haas drivers, that is Superlicious, has also had to make a pit stop early on. But Sider, good little getaway there, and yeah, he'll be happy with that start, as the top 5 have managed to maintain position. Fern having a terrible start, by the way. Started P10, he's all the way down to started P6, he's now down in P10. One of the biggest losers on this first lap. obviously not including those caught up in that incident, Steve.
Yeah, so, yeah, of course, that's not what you need, but of course he is on the hard, so of course he will get a bit of a worse start than everyone else, as it seems. I think Bukalicious might have actually started the accident. He was the highest up of who I could see who just boxed on the grid. So, yeah, I don't know what happened there, but the top 5 all keep in position, showing that even though they get good starts, you can't always gain the places that you need or drop down. But Lurchtov, the biggest gainer, he has absolutely stormed his route the field due to that big crash.
Indeed, started way down the grid, already up into P11 in the AlphaTauri. So he's going to be very happy with what just happened in front of him. And he's going to be hoping he can carry that momentum on the restart and maybe try and get past Fern. As we mentioned, is on the hard tyres. Let's get the tyres up for you all. You can see everyone is now either on the softs or the hard. Borden, interestingly, has chosen to go to the mediums, which I don't think will go to the end from here. So that is an interesting call. He maybe could have tried to go on the hards and go to the end of the race, but he's going for something different. And like I mentioned, this is just a social race, so this is a chance for drivers to experiment and to practice some different race strategies maybe before the start of Season 13 in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I've heard that the hards can actually go from about now to the end of the race, because they are very durable tyre in this game. But it is all about experimenting really in these social races, try new things, and Piccolo is in the pit lane, so he'll be changing onto the hards. But yeah, that's all what social races are. Try different setups, try different strategies. And techniques really, so it doesn't really matter. These of course do not count for points, so it's all about pride really, these races.
Indeed, we have Shizu Piccolo and VSR's Visceral Racing's new signing VSR Finn also into the pits. I think Finn has just made 2 pit stops in 2 laps. Let me just double check that very quickly for you. I think he has, yes he has, so he's gone medium, hard, medium, so he can actually go to the end of the race now. That may be why he's made 2 pit stops under the safety car. A little strategic play there from the Alpine driver to try and get himself back into play later on in the race. But yeah, safety car should be coming in hopefully within the next lap or so, and we can get racing back underway here in Lobby 1. If you are enjoying the stream, ladies and gentlemen, we would massively appreciate it here in WOR if you could leave us a like, and if you are new, do consider subscribing. We have plenty more action coming over the next couple of days and weeks. We have more social races this week around Bahrain, another PC Invitational, I believe. I've completely forgotten what circuit that's around this time. Let me quickly double check that one, unless you happen to have that information to hand, Steve.
No, I do not have that information.
Where will it be?
Come on, you're a lead coordination experts.
I should know this. Yes, the PC Invitational, July the 10th, around Brazil. So that'll obviously be a very exciting race for you all. So, of course, make sure to keep an eye out for that. PlayStation are around Australia tomorrow. So if you have wanted to see some action around Australia, be sure to keep an eye out for that. And then PC are around Australia on July the 9th. But we are about to get underway. So let's get back to the action, Steve, and see what Scyther can do on this restart.
Yes, of course. He needs to go very late, actually, you want to go on this game. Even though Slipstream isn't that big, it is still a big factor in this game. And he's caught Matthew napping a bit here, and that's going to allow Placky to attack him. So going down into turn 1, I've got a very good camera class, but now to TV pod. We go. So now round the outside goes Placky on the Ferrari. Oh, but he's been hit by the other Ferrari, Choco, and he's been spun round.
Oh no,
like 4 cars off.
Yep, Axe was one of those involved in that incident. It looked like there was just a pinch in action. I think Choco got wedged between 2 cars potentially and put himself into the side of Placky. Martin has also been involved in that. He's down to P12 right now, but has just pulled off a wonderful little overtake. Although he has made contact in the background. That's Hoopalicious out. Amin's got contact. Choco has now got more damage. His car's just done a bunny hop there. So an absolute disastrous restart for these guys, and they are not going to be happy with that one at all. Absolute carnage there on the restart, and that is less than ideal. But Scyther, like we mentioned, still out in front, and he is still in the race lead, but he has Matthew half a tenth behind as we come down this back straight, and they are gapping everyone a little bit. Fern finds himself up into P3 now after all that carnage on the opening lap and the restart as well. So many drivers in front of him involved in that collision. and he finds himself in a podium spot on those hard tyres right now. We've got another spinner. I think that is Bobberts has put himself out around turn number 11. Yes, he has. A little bit of a spin on the exit.
Oh, and Venom as well. He's gone off. There's a massive gaggle of cars here and a major scrap. But that crash really shows how drivers are really not like needing to get used to this new traction system. Many drivers spinning out with the random snaps of oversteer you get. But this Jaguar car is definitely going to give us a good fight.
Indeed it is. Out front, Scyther and Matthew covered by just 0.2 of a second, but we are watching the battle currently. 4P8, the train led by TRL Martin. Choco has picked up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so that's his day going from bad to worse, and he has now decided to retire, so unfortunate for Choco. Very good in qualifying, but the race just did not work out for him. We've got a move in the foreground there. We've got to go fast, going up the inside of PSR Fern, who's maybe struggling to get those hard tyres up to speed, and now we've got SAV Legend for company there in the Mercedes. What can Legend do in the Haas, trying to get past the hard-shod Mercedes driver? Is he going to have a look up the inside into the hairpin of turn number 8? Yes, he is. The two go wheel to wheel. Fern trying to hold it around the outside, but the superior traction of those mediums means that Legend find himself up into P4. Then tasty little move, but already the top two, 2.4 seconds clear.
Fern
just saw that in the background there.
Fern hit Legend, and now Nico's gonna try and get by, but will he be able to? Just pure later on the brakes and gets the move done.
Absolute carnage from these drivers. We have a wonderful camera angle there, so we'll switch over. But yeah, WR Nico now finds himself up into P4. This top group chopping and changing every single corner and every single lap as mistakes and contact get made, but a nice little move from Nico. He's a little bit low on the ERS, I have to say, already down to 30%, so he'll try and recuperate a little bit of that. And Fern, his goal now surely has to be trying to keep these guys behind, stay within the DRS of Nico, and try and keep himself in touch for later on in the race. Scyther does set a new fastest lap, beaten, of course, straight away by TRL Martin. Oh my word, Matthew, I think has he just outbraked himself there? Yes, he has. Went for a huge dive bomb up the inside of Scyther, completely outbraked himself, and has now lost the DRS. Well, he's just inside the DRS, of course, for the detection for this straight, but he's now 1.3 seconds back. He's going to have to work hard to try and get himself back within that DRS, and this is the chance Scyther needs to try and pull away with this one. He's no idea of the carnage behind, as Lurch has just got past Fern as well. But yeah, Scyther having a perfectly easy race, completely unaware of the carnage going on behind, Steve.
Yeah, he just needs to use this momentum, really, of the cars, but off the cars crashing and stuff behind to just fly away. But Matthew has all of a sudden got straight back in that DRS, so maybe a mistake there from the Williams ahead. So Matthew back within the DRS. The fight now continues. As we have Nico behind, got to go fast, but drivers now sort of starting to settle down a bit from this safety car restart.
It is very good to see. We've had a lot of carnage already as we have a overtake in the background. That's Bobberts getting over Amin for P15. I think Matthew may have used quite a lot of his ERS. He's down to 35%. Scyther out front over 80. So I think what's happened there is Matthew's had to dump the battery to get back in touch with Scyther. Scyther managing this race at the moment. Doesn't matter if he wins by a mile or a metre. He's just trying to play it strategically at the moment, not use too much of his battery. As we all know, it is so incredibly important on this game to make sure you look after your battery. We've got Legend and Fern going side by side in the background. Is this going to be an overtake for P6?
Matthew's just near enough done the exact same thing on Scyther ahead, but he manages to avoid him. Legend did get past Fern there, didn't he?
Yes, he did, and Fern's red light is flashing already, so below 10% ERS for the Mercedes driver, just 7 laps into the race, and considering we have had a safety car as well, that is a little bit worrying for his ERS management. Definitely something he's going to have to work on before the season starts in a couple of weeks' time. He's now got TRL Martin for company, trying to recover, of course, after that incredible crash after the safety car restart, taking out 4 of our top drivers. Bourbon, by the way, back up into P10 after his little incident at the start of the race. He'll be pretty happy with that one to find himself currently in the points, as this DRS train currently stretches all the way up to Got to Go Fast in P3. So a lot of these drivers going to hope they can get some improvements and get some moves done to try and get after the pack. Although, to be fair, to say that, Got to Go Fast is slowly starting to bridge this gap up to Matthew and Scyther. It was up to about 2.5 seconds at one point, now down to 1.5, so showing some pretty decent pace, to be fair, as he's not completely under pressure from WR Nico behind.
Yeah, Nico not really pushing as hard as you would expect in these early stages, but Fern is sort of like the cork in the bottle here. He's the one with the least amount of DRS, and he's on the worst compound. So you really expect him to sort of fall down the order a bit, but with the DRS, he's just being able to keep in touch with the cars ahead, and everyone navigates turn 1 fine, but Connor and Finn battling there is, I think Connor just lets Finn go and then does an absolute beautiful switchback on the Mercedes.
Yeah, fantastic move there. We've got Choco in the chat. Excuse me, saying my wheel was locked to another car, so I couldn't turn. Yeah, unfortunate there from Choco. Incredibly good qualifying session from him. I can't quite remember who it was, who he was caught with, but yeah, extremely unlucky there. And of course, Choco will be back, I imagine, for the next social race, I'm hoping to improve. Looking down the rest of the pack, we have a few little gaps beginning to form as Axe has actually managed to spin there, so that's unfortunate for him. He's going to drop behind Piccolo, maybe behind Bobbits as well. He's going to try and make the move around the outside into turn 9. This will be a brave little overtake if he can get it done. But unfortunately, he cannot. But back to the front then. As we mentioned, Scyther, he's continuing to drive well. Is the runner-up in last season's Tier 2 Championship. Definitely showing that he belongs with these top-tier drivers. I'm not sure if he will be in top tier this season, but I imagine, with the pace he's shown so far, he's definitely in with a shout.
Yes, indeed, of course. Leading this calibre of drivers here, you definitely think he should be in a shout of Tier 1, but you never know. He still has to put in the time trials and the Zandvoort Grand Prix mode time thing. I don't know what to call that. But Matthew keeps on going deep into turn 1. He just misjudges the speed and loses so much time.
Indeed, another lock-up there. It's the third, maybe fourth time we've seen that now already on lap number 9. So maybe just getting to grips with the braking is a little bit more difficult on this game. In the chat, having a look at a couple of messages. Funniest race I've ever seen live. Yes, it has been a little bit chaotic, to say the least. But me and Steve are on best behaviour for a change, so hopefully you are enjoying the coverage. And if you are, we would massively appreciate you leaving a like. Looks like Nico is starting to come under pressure. Got to go fast. Has broken now out of that DRS, 1.8 seconds. And Nico now starting to be a little bit of a cork in the bottle himself. With Lurch right behind him. All these guys you can see, 20% or less ERS. So ERS management proving to be extremely difficult. We've got Blackie in the background going for a move on TRL Martin, thinking about it up the inside there, but proving not quite close enough to get the move done. But Martin's red light was flashing there, so below 10% ERS, and he's definitely going to need to try and recharge that battery a little bit. Otherwise, Blackie may think about a move down the main.
Yeah, he certainly will, but it seems now Blackie, with his extra ERS, could maybe get a move done on Martin and then go straight on the attack on Bird, as they are both on less than 10%. As here we go, we will have maybe Blackie going for a move here. Yes, Blackie going to go down the inside into turn 1. Late on the brakes, but Martin letting off the brakes, I think, a bit there and trying to go around the outside. But Blackie getting the move done. Fern battling Legend up ahead. He's on very limited ERS, but still, that slipstream making him gain, but he doesn't actually go for the move into turn 4. Oh, but he's gone wide. Blackie down the inside, and Matthews round.
Oh, Matthew, that is not what he would have wanted. I was just about to say, he'd started to lose touch a little bit with Scyther out front, and now he's, as mentioned in the chat, he is slightly overdriving the car, and unfortunately for him, that is a spin that puts him down into P12. Not what he will have wanted, but what PSR Fern will not have wanted is TRL Martin to get through as well. And a little bit of a touch there on the back from Bourbon, also on the Mercedes. Fern is starting to drop like a stone on those hard tyres. You would think by now that these tyres would have started to phase in a little bit more, but he's dropping like a stone. Really use the ERS. Probably a little bit too much. You can see he's only got 10% ERS at the moment, and he's starting to drop down the field. Those hard tyres not working out, but out front, you have to say, Scyther driving an absolutely perfect race at the moment. No mistakes from him. Currently has the fastest lap we saw last time around with a 31.1, and has now got a 2-second lead back to Got to Go Fast behind him. Proving to be a very accomplished driver so far is the man in the Williams, and looking for his first Tier 1 victory.
Fern's actually boxing, so maybe having a bit of damage or just wanting to get off these hard tyres and leading straight away. But yeah, the Williams, he's just absolutely flying, Scyther in P1. No one could touch him. So a very mature drive there from him as Matthew retires in the pit lane. That's the end of which could have been a promising race, but he had an unfortunate spin, and yeah, that now everyone's starting to spread out a bit due to Fern coming in the pit lane. He's no longer the cork in the bottle, so it's now everyone behind Nico.
Yes, indeed. Nico struggling a little bit for pace compared to those out in front of him, but he will be very happy to be currently in P3 in this race. Matthew, yeah, very, very unfortunate for him. Hopefully he can try and improve and get rid of a couple of those little mistakes that we've seen in his driving so far in time for the season, because he is one of the people we want to see fighting up at the front. One person we do need to look at is VLX Lurch, currently in P4, Steve, started P18, showing the importance of consistency and clean driving once again in league races. We mentioned it many times last season in some of the tiers that we raced. Not having the raw pace sometimes doesn't matter so much if you can keep it in, consistent, Steve.
Yeah, it doesn't actually really matter too much in league races due to the amount of carnage that goes on. Especially with a late safety car, you can be absolutely nowhere in the race, and a late safety car comes out, you go from like P10 to P4. It's mad how league racing works compared to real life F1. But as Lurch is actually coming right up the back of Nico here, he is catching all the way down into turn 4. Might think about going for the move. No, turns off his DRS. He's just thinking about the long game here and not rushing himself too much.
Did we say that? He has made a little bit of a mistake on the exit of turn 4 though, put Legend right on the back of him. But Lurch defends that well, keeps track position, and he can try and recover now. Is Legend going to think about a move around the outside? Would be very ambitious. Try and get it done into turn 8, and has elected to back out of it. One thing we do need to keep an eye on, of course, PSR Thurn has pitted a little bit earlier onto these mediums, is going for the undercut on those ahead, so we need to keep an eye on his pace, see what he can do, because he could try and emerge back in the fight with these guys, although obviously we'll have much older tyres towards the end of the race. I imagine, by the looks of it, a lot of these drivers are attempting to do a one-stop onto softs at the end, Steve.
Yeah, that could be an interesting strategy, especially with Fern doing that alternate strategy. If everyone went onto the hards, then that surely would put Fern in prime position to at least get up to P3, P4 in this race. But going onto the softs, it could actually be a blessing with that strategy. But yeah, it's all down to how the driver feels with his tyres are at the minute, or how drivers really feel the softs will last.
Well, of course, currently on board with Nico, having a look. In the background, though, we've got Placky just pulling out there, thinking about a move on SAV Legend, electing not to go for it, so being very cautious there. Placky has, of course, been involved in that incident after the restart, so maybe just being a little bit more careful as this race goes on. We've got Lurch again having a look at WOR Nico into turn 4, not quite able to get close enough, though. I think Nico is getting just a good enough drive out of the first couple of corners to keep himself safe up into turn 4. These guys are starting to lose a little bit of time now. We've got Legend having a little bit of a look up the inside of Lurch. Lurch, though, does have the outside line, will get the traction down and gets a better run off the exit. But Nico is really starting to prove to be a little bit of an issue now for these guys behind. Already dropping to nearly 4 seconds off Got to Go Fast, nearly 6 seconds off the lead. And as we mentioned, Siler doing a great job. Fern, if we look at the gap between Fern and Amin, what I'm keeping an eye on to see how Fern is going on those mediums. He has gained about 2 seconds over the course of the last lap or so. So this undercut that Fern is getting could be absolutely massive by the time these guys come in. So that's going to be something we keep an eye on. Interesting strategy choices, and that is what keeps us entertained right the way through to the end, as well as some fantastic racing. This train starting to get a little bit impatient now behind Nico, you have to say, Steve.
Yeah, they really are. So it seems like Nico is actually doing Fern a bit of a favour here, holding all these drivers up. Blacky there was nearly going to go for a bold undercut for the hards, but no, he does not, and he's actually gaining on Legend, thinking about a move. Does not go for it, but yeah, Nico's starting to maybe frustrate a few drivers here, knowing that they're now on a DRS train. But if they want to get by, they'll have to get a really good drive coming up the final corner or up into turn 4.
Yeah, the main overtaking spots. We don't usually see overtakes around many other corners around this track, unless there is an incident. As PSR Fern, there you can see fastest lap of the race, that is going to be something that these guys are now going to be wary of. They know that their pace is not that quick, and we could see PSR Fern potentially emerge in P3 by the time all these guys pit, purely due to the fact he's got so much more pace at the minute than what WOR Nico is showing. He goes a little bit wide on the exit of turn 10, but again, Lurch not quite close enough, about 3.5 tenths behind, not using any ERS. He might just be using this as an opportunity to recharge that battery a little bit, because we know the ERS depletes a lot faster, but is a lot more powerful in this game. So Lurch potentially electing not to try and go for this move, or maybe he's just not able to get quite close enough. So he's having a little bit of an alternate line there. Nico will get a better drive off the corner, and this is what we're talking about. Nico is just quick enough in areas he needs to be able to maintain his position, but Lurch does look an awful lot closer this lap, and maybe he could go for a move as Nico's gone a little bit too deep into the final corner.
Yeah, but Lurch did keep the car in 7th gear throughout the final corner, maybe thinking traction could be superior, and it does seem so, but Lurch turns off the DRS again. He's just hurting his own chances at a good result here with Fern on those mediums, because Fern's about 32 seconds behind. Yes, that might seem long, like a massive gap, but without how long these drivers are going to stay out for, it's actually a really close gap if he keeps gaining as much as he does, and I think that was Roberts off the track, as Fern sets another fastest lap, but Lurch really needs to get by Nico if he wants a good result here.
Yeah, potentially it could be a case of Lurch just not realising the threat that Fern is currently posing to these guys. Back out front though, Got to Go Fast is slowly starting to close in on Sider now, the gap down to 1.6 seconds, although Got to Go Fast is currently on 1% ERS, so that's less than ideal. Meanwhile, Sider has over 50 once again, continuing just to manage this race, as we've said so far, doing a very, very good job of it, and his pace seems to be pretty consistent as well, only 2 tenths off his personal best lap of the Grand Prix so far, and he's on lap number 15 on those tyres, so very impressive drive from him. As we mentioned, PSR Fern is putting the hammer down now in that Mercedes. The gap down to Amin is down to 16 seconds, that's another 2 seconds gained, and he's absolutely flying at the moment. The guys up in front not quite able to match this pace, and I think Nico might have made a bit of a mistake off that corner, because Lurch is definitely closer than he has been. 2 tenths of a second as we cross the line. Is this going to be the time for Lurch to go for the gap? Placky has come in, so he is going to be the first driver to try and get that undercut. It's going to be interesting to see where is he going to come out in relation to PSR Fern. This is going to be our first indication really of how much of an undercut Fern may have got. Nico's gone very slow off that corner, although Legend is not quite close enough to get a gap, and you're going to imagine Lurch is going to put the hammer down now and try and bridge a little bit of a gap to that DRS train behind. We've got Placky coming out the pit, so let's see where is he going to be in relation to Fern, because this is going to be crucial for this race. He's actually quite a long way behind. I did not imagine he'd be that far back.
No, neither did I, but maybe cold tyres of those hards, as Martin actually gets past Legend into the hairpin. This is still battling, but I think like Fern might have made a mistake of his fresh tyres, and Martin with a beautiful switchback on Legend. Yes, Legend does go a bit wide, but Martin braking that tiny bit early, catching out Legend, and that just shows that his brake has done nothing to his racing will-to-will ability.
Yeah, great stuff from that Martin there. Legend, I think, locked up a little bit when completely off the circuit, and that has allowed TRL Martin to get up into P5. I'm not sure Fern potentially could have had damage, but you can see that gap between him and Placky is down to 1.5 seconds now. Just cold tyres, as I'm sure some of you will know, are incredibly difficult to manage coming out of the pits on this game. So that is going to be a little strategic element that people need to keep an eye on. Is anyone going to respond to Placky's undercut? No, they are not. The train continues chugging along onto lap number 17 behind Lurch now. Hasn't quite been able to break the DRS to Nico, as we've got a great move by Martin in the chat. Yes, it was fantastic driving from him. Really excited to see what he can do this season. Back in league racing full time now, and I imagine he's going to be one to definitely keep an eye on. He's been very quick so far, especially in the time trial leaderboards, things like that. So showing that his pace is definitely still there for the Williams driver at the moment. Out front, Sider continuing to do the job. 2 seconds is now the gap, and he's definitely using the fact he has a little bit more ERS to his advantage. Has used about 10-15% since we last saw him, and bridged that gap up by about another half a second. Fern and Placky, by the way, separated by, well, absolutely nothing, because Fern is going up the inside right now. So, as we mentioned, this is showing what we were talking about. Those cold tyres on Placky's car, he's got absolutely no grip, couldn't fight that one at all. And even though he came out of the pits about 3 or 4 seconds clear of of Fern has already overtaken him. So the people up in front need to be aware of that.
Yeah, they really do. I wish Codemasters added where you could see a driver's tyre temperature as an option, because that would have been really interesting to see how hot Saki's tyres were coming in the end of that lap. See if he actually did get enough temperature into them. But Fern showing that maybe this undercut might have been worthwhile with these cold tyres out ahead on, with most drivers probably going to box through for the softs and the hards.
You have to say, on lap 18 now, I'd be surprised if anyone else went for the hards. I'm pretty surprised, to be fair, that Placky did. Although maybe he's just attempting to get onto the back of Fern now, use his DRS to pull him along, and use Fern's incredibly good pace so far to try and bridge the gap to some of these guys in front, because Fern is absolutely flying. Definitely one of the fastest drivers on the circuit right now. Scyther, though, still in the lead. We've got to Go Fast still in P2, and Lurch still leading this train. Let's have a little bit further, a look further down the grid at some of the drivers we've maybe not focused on a little bit in this race. We've got Axe currently in P10, driving a little bit of a solid race. He's been cut adrift of that DRS train. We've got Bobberts in P11. He is on the medium tyre. I think he probably will be stopping again. We've got Amin on the hards. Realistically, could go... No, he's not pitted, sorry. So Amin does have to pit again. Piccolo does not, but I don't imagine his pace is going to be enough for him to still win. Although, to be fair, he is 11 seconds ahead of Fern, and I think Piccolo can go to the end, Steve.
Yeah, he can. So it does seem that even though he is on those old tyres, he can have a major boost up the order here. And maybe be like net P3 and P4. We'll quickly have a look at how far away Fern is from the lead. He is near enough in P2, P3 here with Piccolo, with these old hards. So if he can keep these going, as that is Nico in the pit lane. But if Piccolo can keep his pace up a tiny bit on these hards, he'll be in a good position for when everyone boxes.
Yep, Nico, we can see he's in the pits here for Sauce, but look at where Piccolo is. Piccolo is already going past. So has Piccolo pulled off an absolute blinder here? He's not someone we've really been focusing on. Currently in P11, but I'm pretty sure he can go to the end on those hard tyres. He's got no ERS, which could be a little bit of an issue, but look at the gap between himself and Nico. We'll have a look as he comes out of the pit. What is that gap? It's about 8.5 seconds. I'm pretty sure that is the gap that Nico had to Scyther out front. Could Piccolo somehow fraud himself into a race lead here? As we have our first penalty of the race.
Actually, penalty. That is it's quite hard. The driver's shown it's actually quite hard to pick up warning. But yeah, Piccolo could be in a real good shout to get his way into a race lead here, maybe even just about P2. But yeah, absolutely astounding. But the thing is as well, Finn and Bourbon did pit for extra medium. So if they boxed onto the hards, they'll be miles quicker if they stayed on the hard comp. So if they can take those mediums to the end, it'll be a really good job from them. But Piccolo seems to be in the driver's seat here. As that is Martin in the pit lane.
Yeah, Martin and Finn both went into the pit, so we were just talking about Finn, but he has come into the pit, which sort of answers our question. Don't think he can get those tyres to the end. Where is Martin going to come out in regards to Piccolo? That is what I want to keep an eye on here. He's going to be miles behind. Piccolo's already going past them, and they've only just come out of their pit boxes. Piccolo might have played. Piccolo might have played an absolute blinder here, ladies and gentlemen. Currently in P9, we've not focused on him at all, but he is the lead driver who has made a stop other than Bourbon, but surely Bourbon can't take mediums from lap 1 to the end of this race. They're already looking a little bit second hand. See some grain in there on that front right tyre. So surely Bourbon's got to pit again, and that could really put Piccolo in an incredible position.
And also, even though the guys behind have boxed onto the softs, coming in the end of the race, they'll be absolutely finished. They will not be in good condition at all. So this could be an absolute worldie here from Piccolo if he just keeps it on the track. So he is definitely one to look out for. As his gap, I'm just going to keep checking his gap to the lead, and it's about, he's lost about a second. but he'll come out behind the lead. It'll be P2 at the minute, I reckon. But maybe with the cold tyres can take lead. So this is going to be absolutely amazing, these final few laps.
Indeed, we do have another couple of pitters. We've got Lurch and Legend both coming in off those old mediums. You have to imagine they're going to go onto the softs. Have Nico and Martin been able to pull off an undercut? That is going to be something to keep an eye on. Obviously, like we mentioned, they are both going onto the softs. Do have people saying Piccolo's tyres will be fried. That is true, but they are the hard tyres. And he does still have about a 6-second lead. And obviously, catching is one thing. By the time they've caught him, those tyres...
Oh, sad spun! Legend is round. Coming out of the pit lane. The cold tyres have caught him out.
Oh no, he's going to be absolutely fuming with himself. As he's now got Axe trying to go up the inside. Legend was in such a good spot, has driven a pretty good race. But that is less than ideal. We've got a move here. We've got Finn going up the inside of Placky. So Placky's decision to go to the hards already proving to not be the right one. And he's dropping away. Piccolo still has about a 5.5 second gap over Nico. This could be on here. Piccolo could have absolutely played this to perfection. We've got Amin still has to pit. He's in P5 at the moment. Are these lead guys going to make a pit stop? We've got Scyther. Still got a lot of battery in reserve. So when is Scyther going to come into the pits? That's something I want to try and keep an eye on. He's got about a 3-second gap now to Got to Go Fast. So he has built a little bit of a gap. Is he coming in? No, he is not. Got to Go Fast. He's dumping his battery because he is in. And this, I think, is going to be one of the key things to look. Where is he going to come out now with... Sorry, excuse me. With regards to Piccolo. And has Nico, who pitted a couple of laps ago, the likes of Lurch. Martin's going up the inside of Lurch there. Lurch gone a little bit wide on this outlap. But he's choosing to stay behind and maybe going for the DRS and trying to get a move on the main straight. But let's find Piccolo. Where is he on the circuit at the moment? He's coming down that main straight. I think Got to Go Fast might just come out in front of him here. It's going to be very close between these two. So Piccolo, they're going to be side by side, I think. No, he is clear. And of course, Got to Go Fast has to get those tyres up to temperature. But he's in a net P2 right now. This is an incredible strategy he's pulled off. Obviously, Got to Go Fast is a lot closer than those drivers behind us. Lurch has got past Connor in the background. I imagine Piccolo will probably lose a spot, I imagine, to Got to Go Fast, just because he's that close to him. As Bobbert's picked up a 3-second time penalty. I think Connor may have made a mistake, or he's battling with Fern because he's dropped a couple of places there. Fern battling with his PSR teammate. Can Connor get the move done into the hairpin? No, he cannot. Well, these guys battling behind. They are about 5 seconds, 6 seconds, you want to say, behind Piccolo. If they don't sort themselves out, they are going to be in a... going to be in contention for maybe not even getting past Piccolo. This is a great drive from Piccolo, you have to say. Although, as you can see, Got to Go Fast is already behind him. So you imagine he probably will lose that spot. Nico is next up. He's got about 3.5 seconds to bridge to Piccolo in the other Aston Martin. The leader, Scyther, is into the pit, so where is he going to come out? You have to imagine he will probably retain the net race lead at the moment. Unless something goes wrong. And
I think us looking at the gap between Fer and Amin might have been a bit wrong, because Amin is in AI mode.
Ah!
He put it in the chat. So he was in AI mode, has Got to Go Fast, gets past Piccolo down the main straight. But, yeah, so maybe that's why Fern's undercut seemed a bit worse than it was.
Potentially, but yeah, it's not really worked out. Martin has just been overtaken and has elected to go off the track, so I think he might have been pushed off there. He has come out back ahead of VSR Finn, so I'm not sure what's just happened between these two. Finn is going to go for the move up the inside of the Williams driver into turn number 4. Can Martin hang it around the outside? He's certainly going to give it a go. He's got low batteries riding that curb on the outside. They're going to be side by side into this little section. Hangs it around the outside. No contact. So great driving from these two. Still side by side. We've got the Mercedes of Connor now getting involved. They're going to try and go side by side through turn number 8 as well. Connor's going to try and get the switch back. Hasn't quite worked. Martin's got the traction on the exit. Gets a move done. And we've got a yellow flag. That is Amin, unfortunately. I think he's just retaken control, and unfortunately for him, looks to have made a mistake. But Scyther has come out, the gap down to 1.5 seconds now, and needs to get those tyres into the swing of things nice and quickly. Is Bourbon trying to go to the end on those mediums?
I have no clue, but Connor nearly goes round. This battle between these three drivers is really spicy. Martin somehow still in the lead of this trio, and that is Bobbert's round That is unfortunate for him. But how has Martin kept P8 after all that? Which will now be P7. Well, he nearly spins out, actually, on the traction. But that was absolutely amazing racing from those 3 drivers. But Finn, I think, is actually still trying to close in and try and make the move.
He is. He's trying to go around the outside. I'm not sure if Amin is
corner.
Yeah, a little bit of contact. The Mercedes driver overtakes Amin, who I'm not sure if he's actually there or not. I think he may be, because he's currently ghosted. But gets past Amin and Finn, so Connor up into P8 now. So, oh, there's been contact though! Oh, he's been touched. Finn stuck his nose up the inside there, made a bit of contact. And Finn is now under pressure from Fern. I imagine Connor is not going to be happy with that one. It leaves the session in disgust, and I'm not surprised, to be honest. That was a little bit of a half-hearted move there. Nearly does the same thing to Fern on the exit of the hairpin. So Finn, new signing to Visceral Racing, needs to maybe be a little bit careful, because that was on the definitely on the line of being a dodgy move there, as he puts himself back up into P8. Back out front, Bourbon still hasn't pitted. I think Bourbon is trying to go to the end here. He's got a 9.5 second lead. If those tyres don't go pop, is Sider going to be able to catch him in time?
I mean, the tyres don't actually look too bad. They're probably around about 50%-ish with the grain. So maybe if he does have a shout of staying out and winning this race, he cannot afford to lock up. As we have Axe. Oh, Axe has hit Placky as he muscles his way by, and that allows Legend through as well. Oh, that could have been like a Finn incident there, but he managed to save Placky from spinning round.
Lurch has got past Nico around the outside. They're very close. Could have been a little bit of contact there, but both of them keeping it fair as they battle over who gets to have a go at Shazoo Piccolo first. Piccolo still in P4 at the moment, so he's still hanging on. And you have to say, the longer these guys take to get up to the back of him and try and get a move done, the less chance they're going to have, because those tyres are going to start to go off. And, you know, it's interesting, pretty much everyone has got close to no battery left. Axe, down in P10, has got 30%, and he's got more than pretty much every single driver up to Bourbon in the lead.
Yeah, that ERS seems to be a big issue for these drivers on the management front, as Fern and Axe are battling, not being able to get the move done, as we have Lurch now on Piccolo into turn 11. Who dares to brake later? It seems Lurch does and gets the traction out the corner. Piccolo losing a position. These hard tyres just not seeming to hold on a bit long enough at the minute, but we'll see what happens to these soft tyres.
Yeah, he's maybe not got the chance of a podium today, but definitely considering where he started and where he was for most of the race, there's easily a top 6 or 7 finish in this one if he can keep it clean to the end. Out front, Sider is closing that gap to Bourbon at a vast rate of knots, down to 5.5 seconds with just 4 laps to go. Can Bourbon pull off an absolute worldie of a strategy? He pitted at the end of lap 1 for damage, has gone the entire race on that one set of mediums, and he's currently leading the Grand Prix. This is incredible scenes from Bourbon. Sider is doing everything in his power to try and close him down. Absolutely flying at the moment is the Williams man. Led the entire race, got pole position. Nico has got past Piccolo in the background as we're talking about how well Sider's doing. But he's got 5 seconds to gain and only 3 laps after this one to get it done. This is going to be a very fascinating end to this race. Got to go fast. Driven well today, P3. Lost touch with the leaders early on due to all the carnage, and you have to imagine if he'd been able to stay in that DRS train with Matthew and Sider early on, he could be right in the fight for this one. But the real fighting is going on currently for P4. We've got Lurch, Nico, Piccolo, TRL Martin, and then Finn trying to close up to this gaggle of cars. And Piccolo in the middle of it. What a drive, you have to say, from him. P6 at the moment on a set of hard tyres that has done 23 laps. Oh, Nico spin. Nico has spun and put it in the wall.
Oh no. It's heartbreak. Heartbreak for the Aston Martin driver, but Piccolo, yeah, of course, he's driven a brilliant race, and also, if Bourbon can stay out to the end, Finn will be kicking himself because he was on the exact same strategy.
Indeed, and Finn wasn't that far away from Bourbon as well. Finn has potentially thrown away a chance at this win. We're currently on board with TRL Martin. He is the next driver to have a go at Piccolo. He's going to go for the move up the inside, down towards turn number 1. Should be an easy overtake with DRS. Not using any of the ERS, of course, because he has very little of that remaining. And that is a very easy move. Got Legend getting past Fern coming into turn 1. So a nice little move there for the Haas driver, recovering from a little bit of an incident before. He is now in P9. And obviously he is definitely going to be kicking himself after spinning out the pit after being in a really good position early on. But back out front, the gap down to 3.5 seconds. Scyther is closing that gap, but does he have enough time remaining?
The thing is as well, it is one thing to catch, another to pass. So will Corbin be able to hold on just due to defending for his life? It's going to be very close coming in the end. About 2.9 seconds it will probably be about going into the final 2 laps. So that has to be like 1.5 seconds per lap that Cypher has to gain.
Indeed, they're both on similar ERS levels, so no advantage there. It is purely down to pace and tyre life, and Bourbon has absolutely nursed those mediums to perfection. Let's have a look at the lap times as we go across the line. Bourbon with a 42.3. What is Scyther doing across the line? A 30.7. So he's 1.3 seconds faster. That is not quite enough. He needs to be gaining a little bit more time than that if he wants to try and get this move done. With just a lap and a bit to go now, Scyther and Bourbon is your battle for the win. What an incredible drive. In the background, we've got Finn and Axe going side by side. The 2 Alpine drivers getting very close to contact there. We've got a yellow flag. I think that he's got to go fast to spun it. So that is unfortunate for him. But Finn does get the move done on Axe. Got to go fast, has recovered. So I think he probably will remain in P3 because I don't think Lurch is close enough to take advantage. But we've got great drives all over the field. Piccolo still in P6 on those hard tyres. Great recovery from him. Lurch started P18 in this race and is now P4. But out front, Bourbon, after being last at the end of the first lap, pitting at the end of the first lap, is now a lap and a half away from winning the Bahrain Grand Prix, Steve.
Oh, this is absolutely amazing. These final few laps, Bourbon could be on for an absolute strategic masterclass. But look how close it is. It's 1.4 seconds. 1.3 now coming down through the last corners. There's about a lap and a bit to go of this Grand Prix as Axe is caught right up to the back of Piccolo, so Piccolo's tyres are well and truly finished as Cypher's actually in the DRS of Bourbon.
He is. Scyther has got the DRS. This is going to be a last lap shootout for the ages. Bourbon versus Scyther. Both of them basically have no ERS left. Bourbon on 27 lap old mediums. Scyther on the soft that will be starting to go off now. Just 0.4 of a second separate them. Scyther, the first chance he's going to have is down into turn 4. He's going to have better traction off the corner. Let's go on board with him. Bourbon moves to the right-hand side. I think Scyther might have this one done. He's got the ERS, he's got the DRS, and he's got the move done around the outside. Heartbreak for Bourbon. Couldn't quite hold on. But a P2 is going to be an incredible move. We've got Amin has been disqualified for failure to use 2 different compounds. So interesting entire strategy from him there. But heartbreak for Bourbon. An incredible drive. It's going to be P2. And I imagine after the end of the first lap, he would have definitely taken that.
Yes, certainly, as we actually have Legend versus Fern, so I think we should stick with this for the rest of the race, because this could be a very interesting scrap between these two. I don't think anyone else is as close on track, so Legend maybe he's going for the switchback. This could be an absolutely beautiful move coming out the hairpin. Maybe thinking about going around the outside of turn 10. No, he's slammed on the brakes and stayed behind Fern. He's now got the DRS going down the back straight. Has actually got to go fast. Is out.
Oh no!
Up into P3. Lurch also doing a very good race, and Martin up into P4. As this is now Fern and Legend battling as if I can speak English. Cypher wins the Grand Prix, but Legend versus Fern's going to go right down to the final corner.
Incredible scenes. Well done to Scyther. Great drive from him and Bourbon and Lurch as well. But we're looking at this battle. Legend has absolutely no ERS left. Can he get the drive off the final corner? It's going to be a run to the line. Has he got enough to get past Fern? It doesn't look like he has. So Fern will hold on. But what an incredible Grand Prix this was. Congratulations to Scyther. Got pole position. Dominated the race. And that is an incredible drive from him. Last season's P2 runner-up, Tier 2 runner-up, I should say, has taken the top spot today. Applause to Bourbon though. What an incredible drive. That is 28 laps on those mediums. And to lose the race on the final lap, heartbreaking I'm sure. But what an incredible drive from him. Lurch, P18 to P3. Absolutely incredible drive definitely a shout for driver of the day. There's so many shouts in there, Steve. Who's your driver of the day for today?
Oh, I think we've got to give it to Baldwin Boy. With keeping his tyres up for that long. Yes, Cypher and Lurch both have good reasons for their shouts at driver of the day, but Baldwin having to manage his tyres for that long and losing it on the final lap, yeah, it surely has to go to him. What a drive.
Yeah, absolutely incredible scenes, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have enjoyed the race. If you have, as always, please do leave a like, and if you are new around here, make sure you subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel for more incredible racing action just like this. What an incredible race. So happy that our first time commentating Tier 1, we have such a great race as this. But there is your race winner. Got pole position, led most of the race. It is Scyther, your winner for today's social race around Bahrain. Fantastic work from him. Bourbon in P2, like we said, great strategy. So close to getting to that race win. Just one lap too long though, unfortunately for him. And then Lurch, P18 to P3, fantastic drive. He will be incredibly happy with that one. But wow, ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the chat who is your driver of the day for today. And hopefully you have enjoyed. Let's have a look at the rest of your classifications then for the Bahrain Grand Prix. TRL Martin comes home in P4. Got to imagine where could that have been had it not been for that incident, the many incidents that Martin was involved in. Piccolo gets P5 for Aston Martin from last on the grid with an incredible strategy, taking those hards quite as long as he did. Finn comes home P6 after a few questionable moves in that one. He's made 3 stops, comes home in P6, just ahead of the other Alpine of WOR Axe. Fern is in P8, just ahead of Legend, and Placky rounds out the top 10. Got Venom P11 ahead of PSR Connor, Bobberts, who retired late on. Nico got to go fast. Matthew, Choco, Hoopalicious, M Racer, and Amin, who's unfortunately disqualified for a weird tyre rule, round out your classification. Oh, excuse me. Your classifications for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Oh dear. We've been so professional the whole time. And then...
Yeah. You know what, quickly, who's your driver of the day, Smithy?
My drive of the day, I'm going to say Scyther. What an incredible drive that was. Pulled it out the bag in qualifying, led most of the race, dominated really, and if Bourbon hadn't pulled out the world's most west strategy, I think he would have won that by quite a way. You can see 12 seconds ahead of the nearest car on a similar strategy, so I'm going to give it to Scyther today.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. But also, guys, recommend us to Luke. Try keep us in Tier 1, because we thoroughly enjoyed it today, didn't we, Smithy?
Yeah, we've loved this experience. The racing has been incredible. Thank you. We've had an incredible viewership today, so thank you to all of you who have tuned in. Of course, we don't have the platform to do this without you guys, so massively appreciate it. Do make sure you subscribe to WOR, help their channel grow. We've got over 3,000 subscribers at the moment, so you guys can help us grow that even further. And yeah, is there anything else you want to say, Steve, before we sign off for today?
Well, I say this every stream, so I have to say it. So, if you subscribe, you do become a WR Glass and WR Cube customer. So, you'll be able to watch the highlights of today's race by just skipping through the video, looking at certain points. So, yeah, that's all I've got to say. Thank you for watching. And, yeah, tell Luke that we are the goated duo and should be in Tier 1 full time.
Well, there you have it, folks. That is enough from us. Like we said, we have more racing action over the rest of the week. We have social races on PlayStation and PC around Australia over the next couple of days before the PC Invitational on Brazil in 3 days' time. But in the meantime, I've been XSmithyX, Steve has been Steve. Thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in today. I hope you have enjoyed the race, and hopefully we will see you around on the channel for a future broadcast. But in the meantime, thank you very much, and goodbye.